It being 7 o'clock, we're going to call the board meeting to order. If we could please stand and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone this evening, and before we get started, if anyone would like to speak with regards to the petition, please make sure you check in with Karen over here, and you can register to speak with regards to the petition up to the end of the public comment on the petition. And just a couple other things, I'm going to read through kind of basically the rules for tonight's meeting. The September board meeting agenda does not contain our typical public comment due to the fact that a petition received last month will require an opportunity for public comment. Each public speaker on the petition will be limited to 2 minutes with no limit on the number of speakers. This agenda item will be the last agenda item as it is unclear how long the speakers will go and there is no other school business to be completed first. The board recognizes the value of public observation and hearing from individuals on school district matters. It is also important that the board be able to conduct its meetings in an orderly and efficient manner, free from outside interference. And I think everyone here can agree that we have a school to run and we have some business that we do have to take care of at the meeting tonight. The board president will recognize individuals to make their comments at the appropriate time during public comment on the petition if they signed up prior to the end of public comment. Speakers will be limited to 2 minutes. During public comment, the role of the board is to listen. Therefore, board members will only receive comments and will not respond to questions or otherwise engage in discussion with the speakers. Speakers who make comments are responsible for their own statements and may be subject to legal action for those which are threatening or defamatory in nature. It is expected that speakers will address the board and each other with civility. Aside from the recognized speakers during public comment, the role of the public is limited to observing the proceedings of the board. Public observation does not include participation. The board has a significant interest in maintaining the decorum of its meetings. With that, we'll continue on with the agenda. And we do have a quorum present. And everyone should have, the board members should have in front of you an agenda. And there's no amendments to the agenda that I'm aware of, with exception to public communication will be limited to the petition. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So do. I'll second that.
We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Mike to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. In addition, you should have a consent agenda, which consists of the minutes, the invoices, and the financial reports. And this was provided ahead of time, so hopefully everyone's had a chance to review those.
Well, I guess the only question what is text help?
Where's that at on the agenda?
It's. Are we on the minute? Are we in the minutes?
Oh, the minutes from the previous meeting?
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, page 8, sorry.
Software renewal is what I love. Phil, do you know any more about text help?
You're talking about the rewrite goal, blue rewrite goal.
It's from text help, it's a renewal for software.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rewrite goal text and help. It's a program that we use on our Chromebooks for the students to help read the text to them aloud.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Any other questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yeah, I move to approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Zach, seconded by Nick to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, we will move on with what's going well. And on our agenda was Kevin Kearns. Kevin, please come on up. For those of you who don't know, Kevin Kearns is the president of the Pocahontas School Foundation. With that, take it away, Kevin.
Okay, and if you don't know, our responsibility as a school foundation is to raise funds for things the school needs that they cannot use the government money issued to them for. So we're taking care of some peripheral things. We just had a fundraiser. I'm guessing most all of you received some kind of a flyer in the mail, but we have raised about $12,000 for additional safety devices for the school. And Phil is working on that, but it'll include some new buzz-in systems with the inter-building capability. So it's just designed to make the systems more functional for the kids, for the teachers, for everybody. Just in the wake of the Texas issue, we don't want to join that. So we've got that money accumulated, and Joe is working with Phil to figure out what we need. I believe Phil is also talking about having some general community meetings to talk about possibly some input from that side of the event to see if there's some things that maybe those of us that are talking about it already have not thought of. But anyway, we're gonna work on that, and then our goal for later this year and the Pocahontas County Foundation, which is the big foundation that is there, we're hoping to and have got permission to strive to, in the elementary, replace the P-rock and the rubber matting. And I've got a phone call into my brother-in-law, who's a superintendent of another school, who has done AstroTurf on all their football and baseball fields. We're going to see if we can, as the Pocahontas County School Foundation, either completely or partially fund AstroTurf for the kids to play on down there so that they're on a clean surface, they're not gonna bring mud in the building. And it's easier to run on. The P-Rock's a little bit difficult to run on. I mean, I think the kids will appreciate that, and I think the parents of the kids will too. I think that's what I got. Any questions that I need to address one? What else? I want to thank everybody who donated to the safety systems. I don't get a chance to talk to everybody, but I want you to know we appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin, for that. And thank you for all the efforts of those on that foundation. The efforts are very much appreciated and hopefully can make the school safer in the end. Next on our What's Going Well, we have the PAC Tribe and Robbie Kudla Gossman. Hopefully I'm saying that somewhat correctly.
Kind of, yeah. Robbie Kudla Gassman. I'm not near as tall as Kevin is. Can we turn this a little bit? A lot of what I have to say is to address everybody else. Is that not a thing, or?
If you turn it so you can see both of
I want
us.
to see everybody, if that's okay. Sorry, I don't mean to redecorate the whole thing here. Perfect. Thanks, sorry, I'm a problem. Yes, my name is Robbie Kudla Gassman, and I'm the owner of Aspen Leaf Coffee House and Bakery, and I'm a school bus driver here for Peck Schools, which makes me very heavily invested in the city as well as this school district. My daughter and my husband also work for Peck Schools, and my granddaughters attend school here. I submitted a request to be a speaker to participate in this new segment of our school board meeting that's called What We're Doing Well. I wanted to do this because alongside the responsibility that we have to our kids, my business and all of the other businesses here are affected by how Pocahontas is perceived. Our economy and growth depend on what we offer to families and workers. Deflecting gossip should not be a battle in this town, and I have done my best to serve our residents here by trying to rise above it. But there are some days when I have felt as unwelcome as I see Joe Kramer being treated. No one should have to defend themselves against lies, but there comes a time when we must. I began writing my comments and have been affirmed in several interactions with people over the last few days. Coincidental meetings and purposeful conversations I scheduled validated that I did indeed need to speak this evening, and here's why. I worked for 18 years in victim services, and I worked with domestic violence and sexual assault cases in Webster County, Iowa, and then in Larimer County, Colorado. So details and being diligent with facts and caring about people has always been a necessity for me. I've also driven a school bus for 28 years, still alive to tell about it. And I began driving in 1994 in Fort Dodge. I've driven in Colorado and Tennessee as well. Then I moved to Pocahontas because of all the things that I found desirable when relocating, like a hospital, a busy chamber of commerce, and a really great grocery store. I wanted a peaceful place to live, to run my business, and to retire. My niece, who is the sports photographer at the Messenger newspaper, her name is Britt Kudla, she recommended Pocahontas when I was moving back. She spoke very highly of our schools, whose students she photographed often. I took her advice, I moved here, and I've been a substitute school bus driver since February of 2018, under Jeff Hansen, who's one of the favorite guys I've ever worked for. I was 54 years old then, and this year I became a contracted route driver with our school district. I love driving the school bus. I talk about it to everyone I know. So I'm a transplant. I'm not a native here. I picked Pocahontas. I picked this school. I picked this place at a time when I was free to go anywhere. And that may give me a very different perspective than many of you. If you've never lived anywhere else or worked in another school district, you might just be glossing over some of the really good things that we have here. And if we don't mention the positive and turn our focus and our attention on the positives, we won't be speaking the whole truth about our district and our city. We have a really passionate debate going on right now about how our school should operate and who should lead us, which is becoming more and more public. As we discuss our conflicts, let's remember that the words that we will use will define who we are. So if we choose to, we can represent our city and our school well. So maybe we should talk for a second about our football team. For 3 weeks, they've given us reasons to come together and cheer, right? Yay, yay, Pocahontas football. I saw in the paper that Susan Ollards was honored at the state fair as one of 6 teachers in the state who's gone above and beyond promoting science, technology, engineering, and math, hard stuff. Our state has 38,022 teachers, according to the Department of Education's annual Condition of Education Report, 2021. Susan is top 6 with 38,022 in the running. And how cool is that? That's amazing. Mel Nesbitt teaches in Humboldt, but she coaches our mock trial team. She loves our kids here. I'm going to quote her for a second. She says, I cried 8 times during round 3, 8. Not because something was wrong. I cried because I was proud. It was the purest form of pride I felt in a long, long time. I suppose it's the feeling a parent gets when they're able to witness growth in their kids. And my kids shine like stars. They held nothing back. They were completely confident, and they executed everything I could have asked of them with beautiful poise. That is a teacher with beautiful poise. Melanie and her students represented us well. I wish she was my teacher. I think I would have been a better person. We obviously won a lot more than that 12th place trophy. Another high school employee told me that there is love behind the walls of these schools. She said the staff care for one another, pulling together to do their best, seeking excellence for themselves and their students. They are support to one another during a time when everything is being scrutinized, but they noted that leadership from administration is very present. She wants people to know that the negativity in the school board meetings is not the way it is day to day, and that the focus on providing a great environment for our students to thrive is present. She said that there's much happiness here. Comments like this are proof of many things that are going well. Sadly, in our local paper recently, some unfavorable information about our administration was posted. And I saw this story on KCCI this weekend that was a bit uncomplimentary. It's about a place that I really love. So to remain positive and honor the opportunity that I've been given here tonight, I want to share the actual statistics that I uncovered because I just really wanted to know the truth. I really wanted to know what the truth was. This district operates with approximately 176 employees showing up daily. And it has been published that we've lost over 80 employees for reasons attributed to poor leadership since the start of the 2019 and 20 school year, or more simply stated, over 3 years. The actual numbers are that 71 employees left the district, 13 were retirees who had planned their retirement in advance, and nowhere is it documented that poor leadership was the cause of that decision to leave. The highest percentage of employees lost in a single category here at Peck Schools is in our associates. 24 resigned, which is 34% of all of our associates hired in this district since 2019. That's a really hard job. So we probably need to do something better to help those folks stay. It must be considered, however, that some of these folks that move out of their positions as the child that they care for moves away or grows out of meeting that associate. These folks are one-on-one most of the time. So if their student leaves, they're not working with the entire class like most of our teachers are, nor are they guaranteed that their job will continue. Some associates are temporary hires because they're training or interning, and they move into other jobs. One factor that was not mentioned in the paper is that this time frame includes COVID. Most of our teachers with contracts kept their jobs and they waited. Some opted out and retired, and some of our part-time folks and those not contracted did not keep jobs because of uncertainty in the future while our kids stayed home. They had to find other employment, they became ill, or they became a teacher to their own children. So we need to recognize that some people left our district for health reasons other than COVID or family reasons as well, like getting married. I think it's just best if we keep these facts in mind when we're publicly putting numbers out there. Whatever decisions we make need to be made based on truth. I want to mention that no one was fired from this district during that time. I think that's evidence that our administration has a desire to keep people. I could not pinpoint exactly the number of people who resigned due to poor leadership because there's no documentation stating that. but I can with great certainty rule out approximately 41 of the 71 ex-employees. The evidence I needed to put the numbers are nowhere near the printed estimation of 80. Instead, I felt that we had survived together through a national pandemic, and by uncovering the truth, I discovered something else. I thought we did well. During the same time period, PAC schools hired 67 employees. People like me are coming here. Educators who are excited to move here and want the opportunities that this city and this district offer. Coincidentally, we also have 67 new students enrolled just this year alone. I saw a mention of our enrollment being down, but what I discovered is that it's not. Besides enrollment numbers not being attributed to who's in the superintendent's office, I just want to remind us all that the community as a whole creates an environment that invites families, providing resources, jobs, attractions, like coffee shops. And people move in and out of our district. People have babies. To the best of my knowledge, that has nothing to do with our administration. Every October, the school districts must send certified enrollment numbers to the Department of Education. These numbers are a compilation of children served, including kids at Catholic School, Lorenz, and other places. Another way to look at enrollment is the butts in the seats method. This is the number of kiddos in our buildings who are on the roster here only in our buildings. Since the early 1970s, enrollment has declined in rural Iowa, which includes Pocahontas County. And I think that that's a bit before Mr. Kramer's time. The only increases since then were due to merging of schools, like when we had to close up some of the other schools in the area. This is a common occurrence in rural areas throughout the United States as towns lost employers and families moved to large cities. However, the last 3 years, the years that are being discussed in the media, have increased our enrollment in Pocahontas. This year, our butts in the seats method looks like 733 students. Last year at this time, we had 706. That's an increase of 27, even after losing all the kids to graduations and so forth. The year before that, we had 701 kids with butts in the seats. So we still increased by 5. Did I say that correctly? We went from 701 to 706. So yes, we've increased by 5. Our certified enrollment numbers are also showing increases. Something else we're actually doing well is attracting people with kids to Pocahontas. During the 16th and 17th centuries, the Lakota tribe lived in the present-day state of Iowa. Before so-called civilization of this country, where conflict caused the Lakota to move further west, the way that problems and disagreements were handled was very different. There were no courts, judges, lawyers, committees, boards of directors, and the like. In fact, when a child was about to be born, the mother would sit in the middle of a circle, surrounded by the women of the tribe, and they would wait for the voices of nature to speak the truth about how this new tribe member would be. They would just listen. They would name the child by the experiences that they encountered as they heard the wind blowing and the birds chirping. And they would listen to leaves falling and watch animals scurry. When they felt as if they knew what nature was telling them about this child, they would sing. They would chant the child's name and begin the story of that child's life. As the child grew, they would sing that song to him or her, and they would add new verses. It was a constant reminder of who they were, where they started, where they were going, and to whom they belonged. There was no guarantee that the mother would bear a sweet child with a name like Happy Chipmunk. Some babies got their names from lightning striking. If a member of the tribe committed a crime, there was no jury or judge or a jail. The tribe handled the punishment by returning this offender to the center of the circle. And his or her community would gather around and they would sing a song of their life to them. Punishment wasn't banishment. I'm sure there was often hurt and anger, but the decision of the elders was to heal and inspire. There was forgiveness by inclusion. What if the accusations or not accurate to this offender? How can a tribe justify punishing a member harshly if there's a possibility of false witness? Can we imagine for a moment the power in the voices around us if we spoke about forgiveness and inclusion? Perhaps we could in turn heal the hurts inside ourselves caused by the offense of another. What if our voices no longer sounded like blame and hostility, and we all, everyone in this room, had a feeling of safety so that we could tell our own truth? But likewise, we would also need the courage to hear the truth. That would be something that we would do well. Would it not? We are a tribe. We're the Pocahontas Indians, and we can continue to compose a beautiful song as we move forward. But in order to write truthful lyrics, we have to ask ourselves tough questions like, how will we learn to trust in each other again? And what if someone new joins our tribe and they offend us? Who else will we remove once we've given ourselves the power to do so? And when will this end? Is it productive, and are we setting the best examples for our kids? Most importantly, can we be respectful and honest, and in that will we ever be satisfied? What will our future tribesmen think when they hear the lyrics of this song that we composed here today? I hear voices. I probably shouldn't say that. But I've heard a voice telling me to speak up. It's a whisper that I've heard when I knew something had to be said. I don't feel comfortable, honestly, being a champion for our administration. I don't agree with many of the past decisions. And like many of you, I want more authority from our school board. You were chosen to be leaders of this tribe. Some of you have not kept the promises that you're made to your constituents. Tonight, I'm here to sing your song to you. We need you to act. We want our leaders to be impeccable with their words and honest and hardworking individuals who care about our children and who are willing to oversee the business of packed schools. Zach, you came to church yesterday, church I attend. It's the first time I've seen you there. I had to decide in a single moment if I would love you as a member of our tribe. Had I been righteous towards you, I would have not. I would have missed out on my own opportunity to let go of judgment. It's not okay for me to decide if your actions are worthy of my forgiveness. It's my calling to simply love you and everyone here. If I sing your song to you, and if I can remind you of how important your position here is, you have a chance to be a better man, and I get to be better too. We all have stuff that disqualifies us. I have errors in judgment that would give you all reason to run me out of town. We need to stop all of these distractions that are wasting time and resources. So please, school board members, make good decisions and get us back on track, because we know you are here because you want to do things well. That's why you signed up for this. Mr. Kramer, it's hard to stand up in this crowd and contradict a popular mantra, but I will. It's difficult standing here. I feel like a big target, praying that I'm doing the right thing and knowing that there's no way to make everyone happy. But as a business owner, I know how difficult being the decision maker is. Having people question your every move, even though they don't know anything about what you're dealing with behind the scenes. It's hard when you know people are hurting and you know that their pain is real, but you don't have the power to fix it. I can't imagine how it is for you, since your business is so much bigger than mine. We hired you, correct? This community hired you. I've looked, I've called, I've asked questions. I cannot find any specific legality or clause that defines any behavior worthy of your dismissal, other than that some of us don't like you or we don't like decisions that you made. If the rumors and complaints were true or vile enough, you would have been easily removed. You have not been found guilty of. nor is there any evidence that you've committed an offense with our finances, correct? You've not been convicted of or even accused of any crimes with regards to our children, nor have you otherwise been a public nuisance. Isn't that correct? It seems to me that you might be doing some things well. In my past jobs, the administrator was never seen. This was a person in an office somewhere. The fact that we even know who Joe Kramer is still surprises me. He didn't have to remain here to be publicly humiliated. He could have left, but he has continued to fulfill the duties to which he was hired to do by us. Has the Department of Education been notified of anything that would be cause for your dismissal? Anybody? Has anybody notified the Department of Education? I couldn't find anything. There's nothing on record. I think that some of us, including myself, Mr. Kramer, have told and retold untruthful stories. There have been rumors about you and words that hurt your entire family. I feel as if I owe you and your wife an apology for not circling around, not singing to her, as well as to her husband. Many of the people who are filing complaints against you left their post. They left holes where our children needed stability and consistency. They left the work for those of us who have stayed. And I don't want that group of people to decide who I work for at this point. There's a loud and angry group that wants to remove you, but I see a circle forming in this tribe. Members who have no malice towards you. And we are singing your song. We may disagree at times, but we also see that you are a person. We recognize members of our tribe who are doing their best, including you. We will be the ones here to rebuild and restore our district after the dust settles, not those who left. We stayed through all of this for the students. We have many people stepping into new roles to keep the wheels of education rolling here at Peck Schools. Let's circle them as well. They too need our forgiveness and our inclusion. We need to strengthen our circle. We should not fear that we will lose our security and our faith in our community. I, for one, will sing a song of inclusion and forgiveness, even if mine's the only voice. I'll sing for all of the less than perfect people here, and I'll sing for the mess makers and the times when we need to try again. I will sing your song to you, Mr. Kramer, and to you, school board members, and I'll sing to our principals, and our new transportation director, and to all of our employees. And I'll be honest about my own part in the future of Peck Schools, because I will make mistakes. When I do, I will ask you all to forgive me, knowing that I'm also completely imperfect, but I'm trying to do my very best. We can remind each other who we are, where we started, where we're going, and to whom we belong. Being honest, being accountable, being kind. And in that should be the definition of what we do well here at Pocahontas. Thanks.
Thank you, Rob. Tracy, you next.
Good evening. At the elementary, we are currently in our week 3 of our learning on respect. The younger students at Peck Elementary define respect as seeing the good in people and things and treating them with care. Elementary students know that being respectful means using your kind words and treating others the way you would want to be treated. The upper grades have been using quotes from famous people to learn about respect. The Dalai Lama said, quote, "When you practice gratefulness, there is a sense of respect towards others," end quote. We can show respect and gratitude to others by sharing why we appreciate them. Students are challenged to notice when they support others and when others support them. Maya Angelou said, quote, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, end quote. We challenge our elementary students to think about how their words and actions make others feel. Taylor Swift said, quote, "We don't need to share the same opinions as others, but we need to be respectful," end quote. Even if we don't agree with someone, we can still show kindness with the words we say. We can all use a reminder from time to time on what it means to be respectful. Today, you might have noticed a bus with elementary children riding around the community. Our music teacher's been working hard at teaching them the meaning of respect through music. Students went to the Pocahontas statue, they went to the swimming pool, they went to the playground, our gym, and many other places. They had a great time, and our music teacher will be compiling a video that where the students are singing our song about respect. So look to see that on Facebook soon. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Another thing that's going well is it's homecoming week at Pocahontas area. Yeah, we're super pumped. We're very excited to share some of the fun things that are going on this week. So yesterday, the guys played volleyball and the girls played flag football. Clint and I went out to watch that, and the kids were having an absolute blast, like a blast beyond words. It was so fun. And so I really want to thank all the teachers and coaches that volunteered their time to help organize that, because that really meant a lot to our students. The theme this week is Home Sweet Homecoming, and on the wall behind me, you see the dress-up days displayed for everybody. Those posters were made by our students, so they did a really nice job on those, I thought. We've had a fun dress-up day today already. So we also had our first day of the homecoming relays, which are class competitions held in the gym, where you're gonna hear lots of cheering and friendly competition happening between the classes. Today's games were a toilet paper toss and a banana relay. So if you wanna learn more about that, talk to me after this. It was a mess. It is so cool to see the smiles and the laughter from the kids and the staff. I think everyone had a great time today. Now I just have to figure out what we're gonna play tomorrow, right? Students had time this afternoon to build some floats for the parade and decorate around the school. On Friday, of course, we invite everyone to join us here in the gym for the pep rally and the coronation. That's at 1:30. And then the parade's at 2:30. And of course, the big football game is at 7 p.m. So it's been a fun week for us. I'd like to invite Mr. Ruffridge to share information about the girls wrestling program.
Thank you, Andrea.
All right. First off, I don't get a chance to do this very often, but I wanted to give our fall teams a shout out. Spin off of what Robbie said, our football team's off to a 3-0 start and got a very difficult opening round district game with Spirit Lake for homecoming. Volleyball team, I think, has won 7 out of their last 9 matches, so they're off and running. Playing very well lately, and our cross-country kids have had a couple of meets and some very good individual performances. And tomorrow our middle school football team opens up, and that means all of our teams, middle school and high school, are in full swing. So it's really busy around here, and for me, it's just great to see the kids out competing again. So I'm really excited about what's ahead here this fall. The real reason I'm up here is to talk about girls wrestling. Back in late January, the Iowa High School Girls Athletic Union sanctioned girls wrestling, making it the 11th girls sanctioned sport in the state of Iowa. This inaugural girls wrestling season will officially begin with the first practice on October 31st and the first competition being November 14th. There will be 4 state qualifying sites on January 26th, I believe, across the state of Iowa. I think they're planning on anywhere between 800 and maybe 1,500 participants. So girls wrestling is exploding right now. The state meet will convey in Coralville on February 2nd and 3rd. And girls are no longer able to compete against boys as they have in the past, but they will still be able to practice with the boys. There will be no girls dual meets like what we're used to seeing around here versus other teams. but rather scramble type situations. And for those of you that have been to our middle school meet, their meets will be very similar to how we run that. And they will also have the opportunity to go to tournaments on Saturdays, similar to what our boys do and have done in the past. We currently have 4 girls signed up to wrestle, and there are some others that are still trying to decide. And we have a candidate for a coach, so we kind of have the wheels turning to get the program up and running. I talked to the girls' union last Friday, and they are giving schools that haven't made final decisions just yet time to do so before the season officially begins, means there's only going to be 1 class of competition, so that makes it a little bit easier from their end. It would be my recommendation to make PAC girls wrestling happen, whether we have 1 girl or 15 girls, and start building the program this first year. I think if we build it and provide the opportunity, they're gonna come. If we don't have our own program, we would likely have to seek out another girls program in the area that would be willing to share with us in order to compete, and that creates a whole nother set of challenges. At the current moment, out of the 10 Twin Lakes Conference schools that have boys wrestling, Pocahontas area and West Bend are the only 2 that have not committed to having a girls wrestling program. My wish would be for us to have a decision made no later than the October board meeting. And in the meantime, I'm going to be penciling in a schedule for our girls to compete and working on some potential singlet options. So I have things ready from my end if need be. We had a young lady last year, Caitlin Schuler. She's been competing on our boys wrestling team for the past few seasons. And last year, Coach Johnson took her to the Iowa High School Wrestling and Officials Coach Association State Tournament, Oroville. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but she won her first match, lost her first match. Anyway, 1-1, lost 1, and then I think she ended up wrestling like 7 more matches and worked her way back to a 6th place finish. Great opportunity for her, generated a lot of excitement with her and amongst her friends, and we were really excited for her. It was a packed bracket, 110 pounds, and like I said, I'd love nothing more than to see her and any other girls that we may have get that same opportunity in this inaugural season of Iowa High School Girls Wrestling. You guys have any questions for me at this point on it? Okay, now, Robbie, you talked about truth. I wasn't gonna say anything about this, but you got me thinking. This is my 27th year here. My wife's starting her 30th year here. There's a reason we stayed here this long. We put our kids through this place. They bleed red and black. They have a lot of pride here, and so do I. Despite all the negativity that's going on, I love PAC, and I'm gonna continue to bust my ass for this place as long as I'm wanted here. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Yes. I'd also like to add this evening, Mike Akridge has been taking the lead and working on trying to get our boiler system corrected and repaired at Pomeroy building. As of last Friday, they believe they now have the boiler fully operational. It's been tested and run. So we should be up and ready to go. The only stage left now is to add water softening to that system so that the water going into the boiler does not increase the scaling and create future problems for us, hopefully. Today, we also had a meeting as a district to take first steps to form a school emergency response team. This was a meeting with the administration, our building counselors, along with an outside liaison.
We're hoping to have that meeting scheduled, first meeting scheduled coming up here in the next few days with the intent to be able to provide additional services and make connections for our students and our families in need of additional supports. And that's what I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and thank everyone for the what's going well comments, really much appreciated. Moving on to our business. First item, we need to, or we're not required to, but we are encouraged to have an IASB delegate representative for the annual IASB meetings that take place in Des Moines. Has anyone else had a chance to think about being our delegate? I know we talked about it at the last meeting. We did not have a full board present at that meeting, so.
So give Dustin an opportunity if you want to be delegate.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to.
Anyone else have an interest in being a delegate? I know I said I would do it if no one else was interested, but Dustin, if you're interested, you're more than welcome to represent the district. If that's something you'd like to do. Is that something that we need to make a motion for, or is it just?
Probably good to make a motion since he would be representing the district.
Okay.
I move that we make Dustin our IASB delegate representative.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Zach, seconded by Mike to make Dustin the IASB delegate representative for PAC. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Dustin, for being willing to do that. Next item, board policy review. We have a 400, a 500, a 700, and 800 series, and it begins on,
Thought those were emailed out.
okay.
And those are just for review with no recommended changes at this time.
Hopefully everyone had a chance to review them. Any questions on those policies?
Move to approve, skip the second reading. I'll second that.
We have a motion made by Mike, seconded by Zach to approve the 400, the 500, the 700, and the 800 board policy. And to skip the second reading. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is to discuss the Odyssey Ware site license for $20,000 for RLC.
The site license would not only cover the Regional Learning Center students, but also our students at the high school level for credit recovery as well. We've been using Odyssey Ware, I'm not sure, over 10 years for sure. There is a slight increase this year as the company has made some changes in terms of its structure. But we were able, through the help of Brian Friesner, to negotiate that number down from what they were originally asking for. So I would recommend board approval at $20,000.
The price code quote is page 18 of the agenda.
Do we have any issues with this Odyssey Ware at all? Any issues with this Odyssey Ware at all?
Like what are you looking at, just in general?
Well, it's a program, right?
Yeah, it's an online platform that we use for credit advancement, RLC or credit recovery here in high school.
Okay. Now, do we have any issues with it at all?
No, not at this time, no. They are looking to phase this program out. They're gonna talk with us in the spring about a pilot program they'd like you to run with us that could alleviate some issues with homeschooling and things like that. But that's in the works at this time.
Okay.
So $20,000, thank you very much if we go forward with it, actually we need it, my kids are involved with it. But the next level, we probably need to look for other programs that will be more fiscally sound. But this is a good price that we're getting right now.
When do they plan on phasing it out, you know?
Within the next year and a half, 2 years, well, 2 years, 2 school years.
Something we need to get on.
Okay, that's what they're gonna talk with us in November, maybe probably before January.
Thanks, Bill.
Move to approve Odyssey Wear license for $20,000.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Zach, seconded by Jolene to approve the Odyssey Wear licensing for $20,000. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have to discuss the RLC agreements. And that would be beginning on page 19 and go through 24 of our packets. Yep, you're right.
The sharing agreement is really the foundational agreement behind the Regional Learning Center. When the Regional Learning Center was first set up and created by Mark Reynolds in conjunction with the AEA, it was a combination of, I believe, 4 other school districts besides PAC. At the current time, we have 2 other partnering districts who have not started up their own programs, those being Newell Fonda and West Bend Mallet. So what we're asking for is board approval, contingent on each of those districts also approving the agreement to have the RLC program at Pocahontas area as an option for their alternative program.
Are there any changes between this agreement and what we had approved last?
No, just dates.
Do they, like these parties, the Newell Fonda, West Bend, do they pay us to use our facilities?
Yes, on a per pupil basis, based
Okay.
on our expenses.
Okay.
So it's prorated out.
Do they pay a little more for, or is it pretty much every?
It's
Oh,
prorated, so it's
it's all
total
prorated.
cost divided by total
Right.
number of students.
Okay.
It's an annual agreement then, Joe?
Yes.
I think I do see a typo. Page 23.
Yep, you're right.
Any other questions on the proposed agreement? If not, would anyone like to make a motion to approve, subject to the correction on page 23?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mike, seconded by Chris to approve the RLC agreement for 2022-23 school year. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is to discuss teachers moving on the salary schedule. We have Keenan Lewis, Peyton Jarlin, and Chad Francis. And this would be beginning on page 24, all the way through lots of attachments, so 32. Mine even goes Yeah, okay, I agree with that. Pages 24 through 32. Each of them would have an educational lane change notification along with their educational classes that were taken to, I assume, to warrant the lane change.
Correct. I would recommend to the board to approve. This is a twice-a-year process that we go through, so it's now and then again in January.
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
Is it seconded by Zach? We have a motion by Chris, seconded by Zach, to approve the teachers moving on the salary schedule, the lane changes for Keenan Lewis, Peyton Jarlett, and Chad Francis. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item, Wayne State College out-of-state clinical practice placement. 33. On page 33 of your packet.
This is similar to what you see from University of Northern Iowa, BD, and some of the other colleges when we partner with them and they have a student teacher doing their practicum experience with us. We have an agreement with them for those responsibilities, stating that we are in favor. This would be for one of our own who has gone back and finishing up a degree to go into teaching. So I would recommend approval.
For one student, or one student trainee, I guess you would call them.
Yeah, one employee.
Wayne State's a good teacher school. I had many teachers in high school that came out of it. I move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Zach, seconded by Nick, to approve the Wayne State out-of-state clinical practice placement. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Under personnel, we have one resignation, Yvette Prati, associate. And her resignation letter would be on page 35.
And I see that she's still willing to donate her time. Am I reading that right?
She did indicate that, but we do not do that to employees. Anyone who is hired with the district, we do pay for time.
Okay.
I move to approve with appreciation for time to the district.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion made by Nick, seconded by Zach, to approve the resignation of Yvette with appreciation to the district. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we have new contracts. As listed, we have Tracy Royster as an associate, Lois Sampson as, I assume that stands for part-time cook, Christy Rodenberg, full-time cook, Leah Rosado and Aaron McCullough, play coaches.
Say it again.
School play coaches.
Play sponsors.
Yeah, okay, placement, okay. Aaron McCullough, local music. And we don't have a name for the social?
Nope, we have no others at this time.
Move to approve contracts.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Zach, seconded by Jolene to approve the 5 contracts. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on our agenda, we have to address the petition filed in pursuant to Iowa Code 279.8B. And I'm going to read something with regards to the petition. The board received the petition to place an item on the agenda pertaining to the ongoing employment of PAC superintendent. In consultation with the district legal counsel and the guidance of the Iowa Department of Education, a petition filed pursuant to 279.8B is not a vehicle to challenge employment decisions or work assignments of district staff. Those decisions are separately governed by other provisions of 279. The board will allow comment on the petition, but will not respond to the comments and will not take any action on the superintendent's contract today. So I want to make that clear, and that's under the guidance of the district attorney. Each speaker is solely responsible for their comments and individually liable for any claims the superintendent or other person may have against the speaker as a result of the speaker's comments. So at this time, I will ask that Karen Halder, the school secretary, read the names of those who wish to speak. Karen will keep track of the 2 minutes of time. And at that point in time, she'll announce that the 2 minutes is up and we'll move on to the next person on the list. With that, Karen, you may go ahead and announce the names and we will start listening to comments on the petition.
Jeannie Ferguson.
I do want to note in the minutes that Robbie had 24 minutes and did address the petition in her speech. It was not held to the same standards that we were for the 2 minutes. Last month, I came to you and talked about the code of ethics in which Joe Kramer is held to. As a reminder, here's what I discussed. Uphold the honor and dignity of the profession in actions and relations with students, colleagues, board members, and the public. Strive to promote the finest possible educational experiences and opportunities the members of this school district. I ask you as the board and Mr. Kramer, tell us how you think he's upheld these code of ethics. I'd like to point out why I believe he's violated these. Joe does not promote bi-directional communication, nor does the board. There's no follow-up communication provided after the numerous concerns were brought to the attention of the board and Joe, leaving citizens feeling unheard. Since last month, numerous staff and former employees have outreached to myself and others in support of termination, which again, apparently we cannot address. I'd like to go back to bullet point number 1, uphold the dignity. There is no communication, there's no bi-directional communication between this board and us. We don't come here and not bleed red and black either. We don't come here and make up stories and lies. I personally put that article in the newspaper and said, I support the teachers and the educators in this district. I expect more from the board. We have a divided school district you as the board are accountable for. I would think this is something that's a top priority for the board to unite the communities and faculties for the sake of the students in this district. The signatures on this petition prove we are holding you accountable for your actions and the actions of Joe Kramer. These same individuals voted for you and trusted you to do what's right for the district and including holding administration to a higher standard. If you're not capable of doing what's asked of you, including the termination of Joe Kramer, it's time you step down and let others lead this district in the right direction. Failure to do so will be reflected in the polls when there's 4 positions open November 2023.
Right. We can't hear you. Melissa Herb. Thank you.
There you go.
First, I want to bring up the Administrator Code of Ethics Board Policy, which says, the professional school administrator recognizes public schools are the public's business and seeks to keep the public informed about their schools. To this, I question, why when a member from the public requests a virtual option for a meeting, it's denied due to difficulty, but then miraculously it's no problem once the public decides to do it themselves? To this, I also ask, why the need for so many special meetings? If you look back at the 21-22 year, there was 11 regular scheduled meetings and 10 special meetings. Is this an attempt to deter the public's attendance? It appears maybe you guys need to meet more than once a month if there's that much to discuss. And by the way, 7 a.m. is not a convenient time for public attendance. Also, don't forget that code section I shared a few months ago where you've been illegally leaving the salaries and wages out of the paper for countless years. Is this also to keep the public uninformed? The staff who have come to the superintendent with problems are given responses that include, I don't beg employees to work for me, or are shown that setting a new precedent is put above their own well-being. Recently, I saw in the paper something saying the board members could ask for public comment at any point during the meeting. So why on some occasions is it okay for one board member to do so, but then when a different board member is, they're told, no, can't do that. I'm not sure why it's okay to allow for certain people to do things, but not others, especially in a professional public board meeting. I reached out to a few young teachers and asked them, why aren't you teaching at Pocahontas? Some responses I received are the unwelcoming culture, the feeling that staff has zero say in anything because the board doesn't care, and the only power comes from the superintendent. Some even went as far to say that Pocahontas really does have some decent starting wages for a first-year teacher, but the feeling of being unsupported and simply not cared about wouldn't make it worth it to them. To the board, I say, fix it. Do something. I understand your legal counsel says the petition doesn't require you to look into employment, but if nothing else, it should be a sign. Maybe you should take it upon yourself to do it. And if you're not going to do anything sitting on this board, you might as well resign. You're no longer acting as the voice of the public. And I'd like to point out, I'm a transplant here too.
Irene Carlson.
Well, thank you for letting me speak, and I'm not going to take 24 minutes because I was told to. My name is Irene Carlson, and I have served on the Pocahontas Area School Board for 6 years. I can yell. My name is Irene Carlson, and I have served on the Pocahontas Area School Board back when Mr. Pierce was superintendent for 6 years while my children were in school. I am the owner of Pocahontas Abstract Company and Believe Boutique. My husband Phil and myself are farmers. Phil and I have 4 grown children who have all graduated from PAC with an outstanding education. Up until the last few years, PAC was known to be one of the finest schools in Iowa. More and more issues have risen at the school, from cooks, janitors, bus drivers, and educators having concerns. The current administration is out of touch with these employees, and the school board has lost touch with the citizens of the school district. I was not born and raised here, along with some other ones, nor did I graduate from PAC, but I've always been proud of the school till recently. We need to get this problem resolved before it's too late. We have lost good teachers, bus drivers, cooks, paras, and staff. What is the problem? I believe it's time to clean house, starting at the top. Let's all get on the same page. Like a wise superintendent always said at graduation, remember where you came from. Let's all be proud of
it. Clara Barnhart.
Hoping next month to not have a walker. New name. Okay. I haven't given in for much, you guys. I got ticked off this week and I told my husband, you know how when you get married, a lot of times you marry the opposite personality that you have? And I was pissed. I told him, I said, man, I've been coming to these meetings. I'm trying not to be mad. I'm not trying to be rude. And none of these people, except for one, have ever talked to me about it. So he looked at me and he picked up the phone and he started calling. Yes, the ones he got a hold of talked to him. There's a couple things that I want to say, kind of just general things. Every time you guys have this and we make comments,
It might be threatening or defamatory, so we might get sued. You know, we get it. We get what you guys are coming from. You think you really have to tell us that every damn time? You know, you have the most amazing teachers at PAC. Because one of them, right there, is the reason one of our kids graduated from this school. Brandon Referee. You guys gotta start listening to us. Is there any reason? BarnhartClara@gmail.com. I understand you don't talk during meetings. Why can't you talk to us after meetings? Why can't you say what's going on? Because right now, what happens every single damn time is we come, we're upset, you guys sit there. Although kudos, this is the very first meeting that I've spoken at where each one of you has actually looked at me. Other than that, you're doodling, you're looking on the floor, you know? Show us some respect. We're not bad people. All of our kids went to PAC. And like I said, Brandon Ruffridge is the reason one of our kids graduated. I'm a rebel. You know, we're not doing this to be pissy. We're not doing this to, you know, give us a break. Yeah, I heard you, Karen. And you know, I can't tell you what happened to me at my job. And that's why I sound like I'm a bitchy, whiny. If you ever want to have a meeting with all these guys.
Clara, at this
Yes.
time, you have 2 minutes to speak.
Oh, stop it. I'm not worried about Alex. Who pays Alex anyway? I mean, I don't know why Alex is even here.
Randy Barnhart.
So yeah, talk to me. I want to talk to you people and I want to tell you what I went through for you at my job. Let's take this.
You know, I want to start out tonight saying that Brandon Rufford, I love the fire. When I worked here at school, I'd have laid down my life for the staff in this school and the students in this school. So we're talking about respect tonight. You members of the school board have a serious decision to make. Do we keep Joe Kramer or do we dismiss him? I have a couple of names to throw out there. Mr. Bravey, Mr. Hartman. These two men were teachers in the school system 50 years ago. And to this day, I still address them as Mr. Why? Because of respect. I noticed early on in our discussion with the school board that our superintendent has been addressed as Joe. It's not a good sign when leadership in the school system has lost some respect within the community. I aired my concerns to the board in 2020 about safety concerns at school. When seeking reemployment at the beginning of the school year, Joe asked me if I'd ever heard the term burning bridges. Joe would not hire us back, even with the shortened staff at the time. I'm not sure we as a community can afford to have a man that holds a grudge like this in charge of our school system. To you, Joe, you think I burn bridges? You know that my wife and I put in 125% that year. You may want to ask the community their opinion of what bridges you burn. In closing, I want to ask the board to show respect to our students and staff within the school by giving them a place that is conducive to learning and teaching. And finally, I ask the board to show respect to our communities and our school district by showing us that you as individuals are free thinkers and you can make tough decisions on your own. Respect is a tough thing to lose. Thank you.
Dan Dutcher.
name is Dan Dutcher. I was on school board member from 2002 to about 2019. When you're on the board, you have a lot of insight to the superintendent that the general public doesn't have. There's situations with discipline, hiring, and so forth that the general public does not see. All the years that I was on, when we did our annual reviews, Mr. Kramer, they were all very positive with all the members of the board at that time. Never once in my term was I ever contacted about Mr. Kramer about things in a negative way. When you're a superintendent, you have to make decisions that will not make you happy. I mean, that's just part of the job. You're way you have to do things. Some of the accomplishments since Mr. Kramer has been here have been many. Where we're sitting right now in this high school, which pushed forward through him and with his advice. Also the upgrades at the elementary school, and the improvements out of the new the athletic complex. The merger with Pomeroy and the sharing with Lorenz have both been under Joe's leadership. One thing about it, without the merger or without with Pomeroy or without the sharing of Lorenz, a lot of these things would not have happened because the finances would not have been there. There isn't an unlimited pocketbook of what the school can spend. They've got so much money, and that's what they're allowed to spend for people. So the less pupils they have in school, the less money they have to spend on programs. Tenure of this average superintendent.
Greg Fritz.
First, I want to say thank you to the board members. Having served at that head table for 14 years, I know what you're going through is not fun, and I do not envy you. And I want to thank all the PAC teachers for all the work they do. This is not helping any probably with controversy in the school district, but yet they're coming to work every day, doing their jobs for the best thing for our kids. I had the privilege of serving on the PAC board for 14 years, and as Dan mentioned, I got to see things, the inside, how things work, how the sausage is made, so to speak. And I'm not going to go over the accomplishments that others have mentioned, and they're not Mr. Kramer's accomplishments alone. It's all of the district, it's the community, it's the teachers, it's the staff, it's the board, but a lot of positive things have happened. And I want to note the last 2 years have been stressful for everybody. COVID, tight labor market, supply chain issues, inflation, it all hit us personally. And then it's also hitting the school district. Throw in minimal increases in state funding, and the school still has to try and balance a budget, give raises to teachers, pay for higher priced diesel fuel, all of those types of things. Yet they haven't cut educational programs. Wages have still managed to go up every year. Maybe not as much as people want, but at least there's still something there. And yet maintain fiscal responsibility during that period. There's more people here tonight than almost every meeting combined in my 14 years on the board. It's a good thing to have people involved in the district, and I hope more people become involved and stay involved. I also hope people come to town hall meetings with our state legislators on Saturdays, when usually I was the only one there advocating for more funding for our school district so that we can pay teachers more and all those types of things. But this is not the time to get rid of Mr. Kramer. He has done a good job for the district, and I hope the board keeps all of those positive things in mind. Thank you.
Ashley Aaron.
I want to first start off by saying, I'm not trying to get rid of Mr. Kramer, but I do think communication, I'm not going to blame COVID for communication. I I just want to read my letter of resignation from May 16 to 2022 to school board members today that do not get to look over it because I think it's important for all of you guys to be able to read those. And if I don't get through all of it, there's more. I just want to tell you that I want to start off by saying that I enjoy working with students and staff at PAC. I closed my business to become a para. I wanted more time with my kids, and knew that I would love working with students, so I thought it was a good choice at the time. However, the lack of respect, unappreciation, and one-sided communication between myself and administration has become a regular thing. I took the initiative to spend money because I wanted to be a better parent and get my certification. I also went on to get my sub-authorization to be able to help out our school during COVID. I also had been doing lunch duty for the last 2 years and had not been allotted my own lunch break. As per state law, we are entitled to lunch break each day, and I did not get that. And I had conversations with Mr. Francis and Mr. Kramer, and nothing was changed. I never got a lunch break. I also took time off because my kids were sick, and I got called into the office on March 29th by Mr. Francis and was told that I was out of my paid leave and that if I needed more, I would have to fill out FMLA, and they would hate to have to deny it because I'm out of my time off. At that moment, I felt pretty targeted because I had asked if I was the only one who was out of it. I was told 19 others in the district were also out of the time off. I had not taken a day off since I was pulled into the office, but I had coworkers that were out of their paid time off and since February, and they were never called into the office. Why was I the only one that was called in? It just feels like you can't feel that way when you work here. So, thanks.
Cindy Lou?
I'm Cindy Lowe's from Pomeroy. I signed the petition because I feel this school board has not done their job. Communication between Mr. Kramer, the school board, and those within the school district needs improvement. I've experienced, as I've heard many others say here, we don't receive responses from emails. We don't receive responses from phone calls. I listened to an employee give you dates of her numerous emails and phone messages that she'd made to Mr. Kramer. She received no response, so came to the school board to express her concern. Did any of you investigate that issue? She has now left the system for another job. Another example of lack of communication was when most of us in the PAC school district south of Pocahontas were unaware that the school bond issue was coming up last fall. How great of an attempt was made to communicate that bond issue with us. Oh yes, there was a meeting open to the public, which I attended after I got a phone call at 3:30 that afternoon informing me of it and asking me to attend. I did attend, but there were very few people there considering it was a bond issue. With numerous employee resignations over the last 3 years, this school board should have recognized there was a need for investigation. In 2018, 4 of you were on the school board. After the November 2019 election, all of you were on the school board except for Dustin Thompson. Yet it hasn't been until the end of this year, 2022, that you finally developed an exit interview. Then, did that exit interview come to you, the board, first? Or did it go to Mr. Kramer first? Did you, as the school board, ask those employees who left this year to complete that exit interview so you know why they left? That is a way to collect data. Without data, how can you improve any situation if you do not know the areas in which you need to improve? Data is imperative. You cannot make any good decision without data. Finally, I am sad that this has made the TV news media. This whole issue is on you, the school board, because in my opinion, you haven't done your job as being good communicators.
Jeff Hansen?
This is the speech I wanted to read tonight. I probably won't need it. This is the speech I wanted to read tonight. this is the speech I ended up with because I'm limited to 2 minutes. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Hansen. I am your former Director of Transportation and Grounds. I will start with the fact that 2 minutes of speaking time on such an important issue for our community is an absolute joke. For you, the board, the community, and the news media, I have a plethora of information. Anybody who wishes to contact me on the things that have been done wrong in this district, my email is 23jhansen23@gmail.com, and my address is 209 Northwest 9th Street, Pocahontas, Iowa. As you can see, even though I don't work here, I do still live here. Again, my email address is 23jhansen23@gmail.com, and my address is 209 Northwest 9th Street, Pocahontas, Iowa. As for tonight's issue at hand, it's a simple thing. You, the board, can fix the mess we are in, or we as voters will fix it in November of 2023. Since I have a few seconds left, I'll piggyback back off of Brandon's comments and off of Robbie's. I too bled red and black. I bled red and black before I worked for PAC. I did not want to leave my job. I did my job well. In the end, I was left with no choice.
My name is Peggy Nelson. I worked in the kitchen in the elementary school. I was bullied from day one. I had numerous meetings with my supervisor. Nothing was done. She just kept bullying me as an adult. And that is not right for anybody to do to a person. And I was also told of my age, that I was getting older, that I couldn't do my job. I worked 4 years in Fort Dodge as a cook. And I come here and work with somebody that has no experience whatsoever. But nothing was done. When I put my resignation in, my supervisor did not give it to Mr. Kramer. I had to. That shouldn't have been done. Something needs to be done. At the end of the year, there was 4 people out of the kitchen of 6 that quit. I didn't want to quit. I wanted to stay. But I could not take the bullying. This is not just children bullying. This is adults. Men, women, both. I don't care how old you are, you bully.
Sherry Williams.
Hello, my name is Sherry Williams, and my 2 children graduated from PAC, and my husband worked for the district for 32 years. We have lived in Pocahontas for over 50 years. First of all, Robbie's speech was 20 to 25 minutes. The public gets 2 minutes each. Why is there this discrepancy? Most of her speech was not about tribes. sounded more like a sermon. Is that what this forum is for? Robbie has posted negative thoughts and comments about her employees on Facebook and on letters posted on the coffee shop windows. Was she singing her song? As for statistics, maybe the DE was not contacted, but the IASB was called by me at least 25 times and asked several questions to make sure that I was following legal procedures. I don't know how many other calls may have been made. The board sits and has very little any discussion on issues that the public can hear. This lack of transparency is one of the items the public is so concerned about. In fact, none of the comments made during board meetings from the public have been speaking the truth. The picture is to have been present at meetings for the last 5 months. When does the public hear any board discussion or comments?
President Alberti, I would like to remove myself as business manager and school board secretary, and I would like to speak.
Okay.
Would you like me to set the timer? Please.
I did not prepare anything at all. I'm coming to you as a mom, as a parent. I would say community member, but I'm not. But I'm a mom of 2 boys from Pocahontas Area Community School District, and they have been here since they have been in preschool, which is 11 years or more. As I listened to the comments tonight, and I know I only have 2 minutes, and thank you, Jamie, for timing me. The one thing I think we lose in this whole thing is what is in the best interest of our students? What is this causing between our kids? I know everybody has an opinion on everything, and I just tell I'm shaking. I've spent many nights at home crying. I have spent many nights at home talking to my 2 boys for them to try and figure out why they're bullied because of where their mom works. I have heard staff say, not my job, well, that's above my pay grade. So that tells me we are not a team. So I don't know if this is a witch hunt to get Joe Kramer out of here, but he has done what he has to keep the school running, to keep our kids in school, to be able to do what they want to do. The board has done the same, and you can put this on record. I am not here for the board. I am not here for Joe. I am here because I am a member of the PAC tribes. My boys are, and I can see snickers, and I can see laughter, and that makes me think that I am getting bullied just as much as my 2 boys are on a daily basis.
All right, my name is Christina Larton. I had 0 intention of speaking tonight, but after seeing Karen right there, I'm just seeing how broken this community is becoming over this superintendent situation. I'm seeing situations being used as ammunition against this that aren't necessarily related. Yes, there are issues with our superintendent, with our school board, but, you know, some things are being pulled in that aren't necessarily related. You know, I'm seeing some things with students being used as ammunition, saying, you know, the school board is not doing their job for this and that, but, you know, specific students aren't, micromanaged by the superintendent. And, pulling those teachers in is going to damage those good teachers' reputations as well. And, you know, bullying kids over where their parents work is going to harm those teachers and give them trauma that could follow them for life. So, you know, this is something we need to figure out, and it's something we need to figure out fast. That's what I'm gonna say. You know, I'm not gonna speak my opinion on the matter, but I'm gonna say we need to, as a community, figure this out, because it's doing more harm fighting over this than anything else.
That is all we have on the list.
Thank you to everybody who took the opportunity to speak. Our next board meeting is scheduled for October the 10th, 2022. There's a typo on there, Joe. At 7 p.m. at the same location. With that, we have a motion to adjourn the meeting. We have a motion by Zach, seconded by Mike to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
We have discussion yet?
Say that again.
Can we still have discussion? We never closed. The petition filed pursuant to Iowa Code 2798B. Mr. President, I move that the question be referred to a committee made up of members Thompson, Jansen, and Dutcher on this issue.
I'm unclear of the motion that you're trying to make.
The motion is to refer this, the petition that was filed to create a committee made up of the board.
Dustin, before you move on to that, in my opinion, that's a violation of the open meeting law. You're attempting to make a motion on something that's not on the agenda.
I'm trying to create a committee on the petition.
That's something that
for us to work on.
Discussed and added to another agenda.
Okay.
And we can talk about it.
Okay.
When we do form the October agenda.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Do we have a second? No. Okay, we have a motion by Zach to adjourn the meeting, seconded by Mike. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you for trying to make it everybody.
It doesn't. I need four. I think I mentioned four.
Everybody else.